Today is July 25th, 2026. I'm Connie Barlow, and this is a four-part mini-series, the subtitle Midsummer Inventory. And it's a midsummer inventory of the pawpaw patch that I've been planting, actually a number of patches within the bottomland, elevated bottomland of the Huron River near Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is where I live. And the full playlist on YouTube is called Rewilding Pawpaw in Michigan. And there's about 7 previous episodes here. And this is just for those who are very serious about how to rewild pawpaw. That is, not just planted in your yard or in parks or in an orchard, which is wonderful. Pawpaw fruit are so tasty. But this is really for those people who want to use it as part of rewilding. And the specialty I show in this one, as recorded in the previous 3 videos, a 3-part mini-series in 2026, is that I see pawpaw as an understory native woody canopy species here in southern Michigan, this northernmost part of its range. I see its potential to be able to overtop the invasive, I prefer Robin Wall Kimmerer's term, newcomers, the newcomer plants here from Eurasia of Amur honeysuckle and of European privet. Now those are both subcanopy woody plants, and pawpaw can actually grow about 10 feet taller than either of them can. So I've looked at the academic papers, I've looked at other videos, and what I've seen thus far is that when people go in and try to get rid of Amur honeysuckle, try to get rid of European privet with chainsaws and herbicides, it really doesn't work. They have to keep going in, all right? It's a forever thing. And what I've learned is the very first thing that you do with a newcomer species is that you evaluate what's it doing down there. Does it make any contributions at all that can be useful in an ecosystem? California, a long time ago, started regarding exotic species, non-native species, in 2 categories. One is just non-native, and the other one is invasive non-native. And there's no doubt that here in southern Michigan, both Amur honeysuckle and European privet are incredibly invasive. And the bottomland, elevated riverside bottomland that I've been planting pawpaw in since 2021, that's super invaded by Amur honeysuckle and European privet. Super invaded. And what's happening now is that we've had our ash trees dying with emerald ash borer, and elm trees continuously grow and die too as well. So there's a lot of openings going on beneath the canopy. And the canopy, my favorite part of it, really is the black walnut. Pawpaw and black walnut grow great together. But the falling of the ash trees and the elm trees means that there's suddenly open sunlight, and that's when the 2 invasive newcomers, that's when they come in and take over. So anyway, I have some ideas that I've presented in previous episodes here, but you'll see as I go along in this 4-part mini-series. 4 parts, no part longer than a half hour. You'll see there some of the reasons why I see a 4-part system going on, an ecological system of interactions. Deer at the top, that's the major herbivore. There's probably rabbits and others too, but it's the deer. And underneath that, you've got the 3 woody subcanopies. The Amur honeysuckle, which the deer love to eat. So what it means that since our deer are overpopulated here, the Amur honeysuckle got up about 20 feet tall and became the dominant subcanopy plant here back before deer had really reestablished this close to downtown Ypsilanti. It's amazing that we have deer there. And the privet also comes up, and it's nibbled by deer, but the deer can't possibly control that. So the major factor that I learned very early on in my planting is, even though pawpaw is known to be incredibly poisonous to vertebrates, every part of it, except the fruit pulp, which we humans and everybody else likes to eat, but every other part is poisonous to mammalians. And so I thought, hey, I can go in and plant about 30 pawpaw seedlings, and we'll get a bottomland growing there. No. Naive mammals that have not encountered pawpaw before are going to sample it. They go, hey, what's this? And when they sample it and it's young, all it takes is one nip and boom, down goes the whole thing, and then it has to restart the next year. And nibbled off again, it's restart. You're going to see all the restarts in here. So that's why the last 2 years, 2025 and this year, I've planted so many thousands of seeds. I expect many to be taken. So anyway, in this first part, let's take a look at the map where I'm going to be showing the documentation, midsummer 2026, the documentation of how the pawpaws are faring that I've planted in this patch where none of the animals are familiar with them. I've been planting pawpaw seeds and some seedlings into this bottomland forest along the Huron River since 2021. Its location is just a mile upstream of downtown Ypsilanti, Michigan, where I live. Ypsilanti is a bit west of Detroit, where I was born and raised. This first video covers my planting in the Upland. That's the Orange Trail. Now, planting there is rather scarce for two reasons. Number one, this is the very first place that I experimented planting seeds that I derived from two orchards here in Michigan. Post-harvest, I got the seeds. And the Upland is a trail that my husband and I were very familiar with, but we weren't really familiar with the bottomland for a while, and frankly, very few people could get through that mess of understory vegetation to get to the river, which is what people like to do through there. It's really not designated anything at all. It's a bottomland, it can't be built in, post-industrial, just everything coming up from there. So the first one is the Upland. And then the final three videos in this little mini-series will be in the bottomland area. And that's the area that you see beginning with the white trail. And that's the main section that I'm going to be documenting here. The river to the north, section 9 to the north, and section 8 had very recent plantings. And so there's really nothing to document there yet and learn from year to year how the pawpaw fare. July 19th, 2026. Standing on the trail, all the light area out there, that's the cemetery. And so this is the closest pawpaw to where the cemetery trail starts. And I'm standing on the trail. Here's a little Japanese barberry here, and here's a little maple that goes up right here. It's a good way to spot this. And moreover, look at this, lilies of the valley, all in here. So, can you spot the pawpaw? I think that's it, right there. Okay, let's come back here and take a walk in and take a look. Right now, this is pretty darn good camouflage because deer know nothing nibbles the lilies of the valley. So here it is. I wonder if it'll take a second growth burst later in the summer, because this is the way it's looked for quite a few weeks now. Here's the lower part. You can see the earlier stem on the right that got nipped once, and there it is. All right, little one, this one, you're in your 4th, maybe 5th summer. Yeah. Well, well, this one looks fine. This was a seedling that I planted late last summer here in the Upland, and I thought it got eaten back last summer, but this is the first time this year, July 19th, 2026, that I've even looked for it. So where it is, again, this is the Upland, and as I look up over here, over in here somewhere is the beautiful one right by the trail that heads this way, cemetery that way. The beautiful one right in the lilies of the valley. And as I keep turning here, I did weed 2 areas. See all this grassy area here, and then there's another grassy there. I've just checked, and I had planted some seeds, germinated, other seeds. I don't know, I'll paste that in as to what it is. But right here, on a casual look, I did see one right there. That one is not one, but this would have been one of the seeds I planted, and it's doing well. I was wondering about it though. I mean, what is the soil here if what you've got growing is grasses rather than herbs? And again, I'm really not planting in the upland anymore. Pawpaw is a bottomland species. Okay, continue. Beautiful day, no mosquitoes yet. I just came from the cemetery side of the Upland Trail, walking along here. You can see what a lovely trail it is. And here's another pawpaw that would be in its 4th or 5th summer, and it's really easy to spot now because last winter this log fell across the trail, and before I just knew that it was somewhere before I get to the property line fence there. So let's take a look at it. All right, so it's right there. And I counted the leaves on it. It's got a total of 5 leaves on it. The farthest one down is pretty small. But it had a lot to grow from this year. It started the new stem, because it had been nipped off last fall sometime. The new stem had to start just 1 inch from the ground, and it's already grown that much. Okay, next I'm going to go to, again, these are all, the upland plantings are almost all very old, and it's this really distinguished tree here that I look for to see. I think last year I saw maybe 2 that were still there, and then over at the fence I planted 3 more, and earlier in the spring I did see one coming up there, and there was a glorious one that I had planted here from a germinated seed last year or the year before, and it was gorgeous, but it got entirely pulled out last year, but I'll look again. Okay, we're going to head back right there now. So here I am at the rotting lower part tree, and this area here I planted a number of years ago, and I did see maybe 2 last year in here. I don't see any this year. 2 years ago, summer 2024, I did plant, I don't know, maybe 4 back here. I'll paste in what that was, but I did see one already there this year. So this first time, I didn't see any there last year. So let's go take a close-up look right back in there. Here it is. Pretty small, but nice looking leaves. And the place to find it is where this branch here and this branch here kind of make a triangle. And then looking back, that's the rotting part of the tree there. All right, so just one I see in this area this year. Next we're going to go over to the fence. Yeah, so there's the lovely one. This would have been the leftmost of the three that I planted, again right by the fence here. And the way I noted it is that this one here, and then there would have been another one around in there, and then the rightmost one was right under this white cloth here. Anyway, this is a beauty right here. Okay, so walking along the fence, we'll go back to the trail. Continuing on the upland trail towards the river, towards the bottomland. It's an easy spot to recognize because this is where a treefall goes across last winter. I call this the bed frame site, and it's because can't see it here with the vegetation, but there's an old, not exactly a bed frame, but the sort of the wiring of an old mattress laying in there. And I had planted some seeds back in that area, but I can't find any. There had been old planting here that, but it was taken out 2 years ago. Anyway, I was thrilled to find here, right in front of my stick with the orange flag there. I had weeded this area about 4 feet across, 2 feet wide. I'll put in how many seeds I put there, but I just saw for the very first time, I didn't see any last year come up, but 6. So let me walk in there and show you the 6. Okay, starting over here, littlest one, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5, and then, yeah, 6 over here. I might have also seen one tiny one over in here, because again, when I saw that there was an old one here, I put in, I think, 3 or 4 seeds. I'll look later in the summer and see if it really is one. But the oldest other plantings were right in this area here, and there's a log down in there, and I had planted some in there, and as of this spring I did see one left over there, and plus I planted some over here, and they got taken out. I think they did, but I'll look again. Right now we'll go and see if that one over here is still here. Yes, still here. This would be, gosh, it's 3rd or 4th summer. And the easy way to find it is you just simply look for this Japanese barberry right along the log, and you'll see that there is a branch pointing right down to it there. So this is the log. The bed frame is back in there, and let's take a look and see if there's anything left. There was an older one, and then germinations, 2 germinations coming up. And I'd also planted some in here, but let's go take a look. Oh my gosh, it did come back. Here it is. And ever since the get-go, ever since this got planted, it's had this rock, so it's really easy for me to find it. And there's also kind of a stick that goes along the left side. But wow, it's back here. Now I just looked off to this side here. There had been 2 germinated ones way late in the summer that came up as small seedlings. I don't see them now. But I'll check out a little bit more on this slope and see what I can find. And oh, while I'm at it, really important to know, you just feel this. It's got 2, it's very smooth on top and the bottom. And once it gets established, it's got a red stem. And these other ones that you might think, oh no, you can even hear the scraping. These are coarse on the top. So not them, but here's the lovely little pawpaw trying again this year. Oh my gosh, yeah, one of the 2 seedlings to the left did survive. I pulled away some leaves, and you can see how bent over that lower part is, and also there were leaves on top of these pawpaw leaves that were really kind of crunched over. But you can see it's very close to this other one here. It's just that this area right along here is turned into kind of an established deer trail. So this one may not be long for the world, but I'm glad to see you, little one. Wow, I just found 2 more on the side of this little ridge here. Again, here's the rock and in here, but if I walk this way to this next branch here, kind of walk along here, go past this Japanese barberry here, and then look up, and you'll see this is a black cherry here, this is a little hackberry here, and then come on down from there, and you can see, now not there, see that dark area in there? I don't know what that plant is, but that has a coarse top to it. But moving down by this big leaf, whatever that is, right along that edge, with a little bit of invertebrate herbivory there. These are 3 leaves of a pawpaw that does have a purple stem down at the bottom. And then from here, if I move about 2 feet at a diagonal down slope here, I come to, look at that, right in the center, shining a little bit, the shining beautiful leaf, this one here. So now we're going to, here's the trail with the log, and I always come up and, oh, and here's the little pawpaw here, and I always come up through here, and I kind of cleared the trail a little bit and to reconnect over there so I don't have to try to cross that log. En route along the trail, I always pull off to the right side and take a look at my little Torreya taxifolia, endangered Florida Torreya, reproducing fine with Torreya guardian citizens in Cleveland, Ohio area. But here it's protected from herbivory, and I'm going to need to cut back the Japanese barberry a little bit. But this is the only one of, I don't know, maybe, oh my gosh, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, they're over there somewhere. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, you can come back. Don't be scared. Oh my. All right, well, I'll come back sometime and trim back the Japanese barberry there, but you can see the reason this is the only place this worked. This was an old would have been an ash tree that fell, but it fell on a living cherry here. You can see by the bark, that's a cherry, and it's just a lot of, and I've added some more debris here to keep, you can see kind of added this to keep deer from coming out. That's the treefall I was just at with my little Torreya plant in there. And now the way I know how to get down there, look at the thorns on this honey locust here. Two-stemmed honey locust with some pretty brutal thorns on it. And it's the only honey locust I've seen back here. And here's continuing the trail, and you can see it starts to go down steeply there. So that'll be our next stop. This is very sad. I've just come down the steep trail back to this area here where I know to look. Come and look along the log, and herbivory. Can you spot the pawpaw? It's down to just two leaves. Fortunately, it was tall enough that the herbivory did not take out everything. So that means it still has good area for photosynthesis to be able to then regrow from a place further down. So let's take a look at that herbivory. There you can see what was taken. So one leaf there, and I think here might be where it will send up a new stem. It cannot keep growing. It has to send up a new sturdy stem. So we'll see when it decides to do that. I'm sure it will do that this year. It's not going to wait till next year to do it. I'm pretty sure it'll send up a new one. But this is very sad. You can see how this far in the summer it's lost some of the ephemerals that were growing tall here. In fact, I will now paste in some previous videos I took that always began, "Can you spot the pawpaw?" I was so proud of what this one looked like. So we'll go back in time. Can you see the pawpaw? Right in the center there, coming in. And this one is, my husband planted this from a seed, so this would be 3 or 4 years it's old. And I'll go down and show a side view because I think this is one of the rare ones that has never been nipped off. And yet, see how long it takes growing in the shade to, it's really putting down a taproot. But you can see here what I've learned about why I do not take away plants from around it. And this is an area here that really has no attraction for the deer to step into this area. So it's all about, the game is many seeds, camouflage. All right, let's take a side view look. Okay, there's the top. Look at that big, gosh, 1.5 to 2 inches of green coming straight out of the top. So that means that's the apical bud. And I recall the apical bud was on last winter. I checked on it. And then the stem comes down here. Beautiful. May 29th, 2026. Can you spot the pawpaw? It's got really good camouflage here. Here is the pawpaw. Let's take a closer look. June 7th. Can you spot the pawpaw? Well, it's going to be losing some of its camouflage soon. Was a really good camouflage, and here's the Torreya. And what's wonderful about it is it still has a new leaf coming out. So it's going to keep growing up. It stored enough sugars in its roots to just keep pouring out, pouring out, pouring out new leaves. And there is a privet behind it. But we'll see what happens to the camouflage as the summer proceeds. Thus far, all looks well. July 12th. Can you spot the pawpaw? Boy, I sure can. Look at that. It's even got some sun. Let's see, it's probably about 9 o'clock in the morning. And that camouflage there on the right front is over. So we've just finished the first video in this 4-part mini-series on midsummer documentation of pawpaw planting here along the Huron River in Ypsilanti. There's going to be 3 more videos, and I will put them in the playlist in the bottom so you can click on them there. Again, 3 more in this midsummer 2026 pawpaw documentation here in southern Michigan. I'm Connie Barlow.